Hey, what's up? This is Joe. I'm right outside Laconia, New Hampshire, and I wanted to make this video to share with you the journey that I took from Western North Carolina to here in its entirety. I don't usually do videos this long, but there are times when it's absolutely necessary. So, before we get into it, just a quick reminder, if you enjoy this video, please hit like and subscribe. And as usual, I've included an optional donate link in the drop box for anybody that might like to contribute to this project. Otherwise, enjoy the show. Situated in the heart of New England, the town of Laconia is home to the oldest motorcycle rally in the United States. Traditionally, motorcyclists would ride great distances, sleeping in tents and dealing with all manner of hardships along the way as they made the pilgrimage to New Hampshire. Back in the 1920s, this was known as a gypsy tour. My own gypsy tour began in Robbinsville, North Carolina. From there, I would head back home to Virginia to spend some time with my family and make a few preparations for the journey. Off to the right is where I first stealth camped when I hit the road on a Ninja 300. They've since built a house on it, but it served me well back in 2019. That road that we just did has got some kind of a name to it. All these roads got some kind of scary name, like the Rattlesnake and Tail of the Dragon and stuff like that. The Diamondback or something like that, I think it's called. No motorcycles out there. That was good. My map is taking me this way. I'm sort of heading north towards back home. This looks like it's going to be gravel for a while, but it looks like a good condition road. Got this kind of stream running through here, probably trout in there. A lot of native trout in these parts. I'm in the Pisgah National Forest of Western North Carolina, a little northeast of Asheville. It's Friday, the worst possible day that I could possibly choose to do this. Since I've been here, I think about 50 million cars have gone by this road, but this is one of those spots that just kind of works in a pinch, and not the best spot, but you can just kind of suck it up and deal with it for a night and be moving on. These three-leaved characters you see growing here are poison ivy. Merely brushing the skin onto a leaf is sufficient to produce an irritating rash which can last for weeks. In spite of the fact that I was practically swimming in this stuff, I never once got a bad reaction. I suspect my tendency of bathing in cold water to be at least partly responsible for this resilience. All right, well, got a little bit of rain last night. As you can see, wasn't exactly prepared. Usually I would have set this up, but of course you never can tell in these parts. this is part 2 of my special technique, what to do when everything's wet. Basically, I just pack everything up wet. There's no other choice, really. And just wait till I got a little bit of sun poking out there and find a big open space like this. It only takes like 5 or 10 minutes, man. People often look at me puzzled when they see my choice in bike and ask why I don't ride something more powerful. The answer to that question is right here on my odometer. The NC is doing 90 easily, fully loaded, and pulling a comfortable 4,500 RPM, which is plenty for my needs. When I got home, I stopped in to see a buddy from high school. Back in the day, every available opportunity was spent camping in the woods and raising hell. Most likely it would also involve copious amounts of alcohol and driving through a cow field at high speeds with someone clinging onto the hood of a car. I can't say I condone that type of behavior, it's just the way we did it back home.
Joe!
Hey, what's up?
What's up, brother?
I told you I'd get here one of these days, man.
How are you?
How's it go, brother?
Great, man. You got me with my helper today.
How's it going? Is that your youngin'?
Yep, it's my daughter, man.
Awesome.
She's 10, so
Cool.
she's not so young anymore.
Yeah. How's it been, brother?
Good, you?
Good.
I just caught up the other day.
Did you?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Well, I appreciate that. All told, I spent about 4 days back home visiting with my family and stocking up on reading material. Back in Robbinsville, I'd had some parts sent which would hopefully make the journey to Laconia a lot easier. Just making a couple of mods to the bike real quick. I'm kind of tired of looking at that exposed fork right there. I don't really like changing fork seals, so I got some of these seal savers, as well as little palm rests for the throttle. Should make the long distances a little easier. So obviously I cleaned those forks off. That way I don't have anything lingering on there. So I'm in Southwest Virginia. From here, just basically heading pretty much northeast towards New England, and might make a couple of stops along the way to some places I haven't been yet. As usual, I'm going to be taking my time. Memorial Day weekend, so be a little bit more careful about where I choose to camp as much as possible. So anyway, let's get on the road. After getting somewhat of a late start, I headed northeast toward the George Washington National Forest. Out here in the George Washington National Forest. Absolutely beautiful out here. I've seen more bears in the state of Virginia than anywhere else. Nice little fire going. I usually don't do this, but tonight it works. There's no fire restrictions out here, so why not? It's a nice luxury. Temperature dropped down to about 40 last night. Wasn't really expecting that, but I guess I'll have to get used to it because that's probably going to be the norm for a while. Woke up, started a fire, warmed my hands. I had to dig through all of my shit to finally find my long johns because I didn't think I'd be using them. But it's freezing cold. I'll probably ride about 30 minutes and then sit down somewhere, warm up my hands, and charge my computer. Pressing on, I rode through the states of West Virginia, Maryland, and into Pennsylvania. It was right about this time that I began to seriously question my decision to leave on Memorial Day weekend. Additionally, my sleeping pad was absolutely fucked beyond repair, so I headed into Harrisburg to try to find a replacement. When I got back on the road, the traffic had reached a fevered pitch. Riding through the wheat fields of Amish country, I saw a little kid plowing a field with a team of 4 horses and had to do a double take. He just smiled and waved. So riding around looking for a place to camp. This place is extremely crowded, but I guess that's kind of the breaks of being in the northeast of the United States. It's really densely populated. There's a lot of people here. Good luck making a left turn on any of these roads. A lot of the times it just ain't happening. So I was just checking this out. This is a game management area, but they got it blocked off. I guess it's open to foot traffic, which doesn't really help me. So I'm gonna keep riding around a little bit and see if I can find another way into this. All right, so obviously a little bit of an adventure getting in here, but this is some kind of a wild hawk sanctuary. Still in the state of Pennsylvania, riding and riding and riding. And really, this is the best I could come up with. This part of the country is just so densely populated, spreading out from Philadelphia, Wilmington, Delaware, DC, Baltimore, New York City, all that. It's just crazy. Had a closer look at the map, and apparently this is all game management land as well. So I really don't think anybody's going to bother me out here. You know, plus my setup's pretty camouflaged. I expect to have a peaceful night out here. There's a guy with the tractor cleaning the road. All right, so this ended up really being a great spot. Slept like a rock. Temperature was about 20 degrees warmer than it was night before last. Although I gained a significant amount of latitude, I also went down in altitude. Anyway, finding this place was a total pain in the ass. So if that's any indication of what it's gonna be like, it looks like I've got my work cut out for me, but we'll see. Hopefully the situation improves as I get into New England and away from all the big cities. The plan is to just take it easy. I need to sit down and post up and get some videos out. Riding ever so slowly onward, I avoided the major highways as I made my way into New York State. In Pennsylvania, there's a German grocery store called Weiss, full of a bunch of German sausages and stuff like that. I would have shown you, but it was an absolute madhouse in there. I mean, just people cutting each other off and out for blood, basically. But seriously regretting the decision to leave Virginia when I did. In retrospect, I should have stayed the weekend. So the traffic, everything else has just been insane. I'm hoping I can find somewhere to sleep tonight, but where it's going to be, who knows? All right, these were a couple of things I got from the German grocery store. There's Landjaeger. I have no idea what that is. Variety pack, and some Italian sausage, pepper, and onion. These German sausages are absolutely awesome, man. The one that I tried was a Bauernwurst. Looks like beef and pork. Got a good snap when you bite into it. Awesome. All right, a little bit of an experiment here. I'm going to see if this charger will charge that computer without running the battery down. Plugged it in a little while ago. I got a 13-volt readout, which is good. If it goes down to like 11 point something, then I'm gonna unplug it. But hopefully this will work, because it's kind of a pain in the ass always having to go somewhere to charge that, especially with where I'm at right now. Thank God I found this spot, but it is just so crowded. Everybody is getting out of the cities and coming out in the woods. This place was really kind of a godsend. Absolutely beautiful, free spot, maybe an hour and a half west of New York City. I'm just so relieved. I was really getting burned out being in this whole area. There's some places that are just not conducive to a dirty motorcycle vagabond. Maybe I've spent too much time alone in the woods. But it's funny, because you first start doing that, a lot of people have problems because they can't deal with the solitude. And so you have to learn to face whatever's going on in your head and kind of make a friend of the darkness. But after doing it for a while, you actually become comfortable with the solitude. It becomes a little bit harder to get back into regular society. So maybe time to start thinking about building that cabin in Alaska, but we'll see. There's already another free camping area. Somebody's turned this into a shooting range, it looks like. For this close to New York City on Memorial Day weekend, this is pretty incredible. The plan is to leave tomorrow for long enough to charge my computer, get some water, and come back out here and just kind of lay low for this Memorial Day weekend. There's a pizza joint near New Haven, Connecticut called Pepes. When I was a youth and learning how to make pizza, I heard time and time again, Pepes was the best. Going there is kind of a childhood dream. I just don't want to do it while it's crowded as fuck. The only thing that sucks about having a computer is I can't seem to really get a charge on it from the motorcycle, so I got to find places like this, which is a public library, not open yet, but the power is live, so I got to sit here for a couple hours a day, sit somewhere and charge my computer. The diner appeared to have been stuck in time. The people inside talked about the weather and the prices were good. They never even bothered to start taking credit cards. I ordered 2 eggs over easy and sausage patties, and they were the best I'd had in a long time.
Okay, I'll do one. And they do it now. Well, you just never know.
I got a little bit of a hobo ice box right here. Basically, it's supposed to be like 80 degrees out here today, so I still have some sausages left over from yesterday. So what I did was put them on this cold rock, which is going to keep a cool temperature all day long. It's in the shade. And then just found another thick flat rock to put on top of it, and that should be kind of like an ice box. Although cooked pork will stay good longer than almost any other meat. You can leave it out of the refrigerator for days. But, you know, if you had a steak or something like that, a piece of raw meat, you know, just take a couple of rocks, put them like that. They'll stay cool all day. Lunchtime out here. Picked up this head cheese. This was made famous in the movie The Texas Chainsaw Massacre. The scene where Franklin is freaking everybody out, telling them how this stuff is made. Essentially, my understanding is that they sort of take a cow's head, boil it, and then make a kind of a terrine out of it. Although that may sound kind of bizarre to the average American, this is probably a lot cleaner than the stuff they put in hot dogs. It's absolutely delicious. Gelatinous, kind of fatty, stuff where it's congealed. Then I got a little bit of my spicy brown mustard with horseradish. So a little bit of spicy brown mustard, a little bit of head cheese. Let's give it a go. It's just delicious. Not bizarre at all, just delicious. For dessert, I got this plain yogurt from a farm right down the road, apparently. Only $3 for this whole container. It's nothing like fresh dairy products if you can get your hands on them. These are from grass-fed Jersey cows. That's delicious. When you eat something like this, and it's obviously very natural, farm-raised, it's like your body's just like, like, thank you for giving me something natural, real food, you know? Right here, I'm treating my little fork that I made for cooking those sausages. It burned a little bit, so I had to go back with the knife and sharpen it up. I just filled that Ziploc bag with some water, and I'm just gonna sit there and let it soak. That way it shouldn't burn. All right, well, unfortunately, got to leave this place. Time to get going. This is an absolutely kick-ass spot. As I said, kind of an oasis in the desert, but there's a famous pizza place not far from here, just over the Connecticut state line. Place I wanted to go ever since I was a little kid. The first leg of my ride to Connecticut took me down an incredible cliffside road called the Hawk's Nest. Originally started in New Haven, Connecticut, Frank Pepes has since expanded to several locations across New England. Absolutely next level good. They get the coal-fired oven so hot that the pizza just cooks almost instantly, and you get that nice charred crust around the outside. The only thing that sucks about this place is not being able to try everything on the menu, so I guess I'm just gonna have to come back. As it just so happened, a fan from YouTube had reached out about the same time I was passing through. Having spent the past several days alone in the woods, I welcomed the company. right, so this is, what's the name of your, do you have a YouTube channel?
Fitster Moto, technically, but
Fitster
I don't
Moto.
have any photos.
This guy's been leaving comments for forever, so finally meeting up with them. He's like, hey, you gonna be near Connecticut? I'm like, I'm practically in Connecticut. That worked out pretty good.
Yeah, that was awesome.
This is the town of New Milford. This is kind of a quaint New England town, and this is where you're from?
Yep.
Okay.
I think this was the original pizza shop in
Oh, really?
Mr. Deeds. Yeah. Where they converted to a pizza shop for the movie, but
Okay. Mr. Deeds?
yeah.
Okay.
With Adam Sandler.
Okay. I didn't see it.
Oh, really?
Nope.
Yeah, they had I wasn't here at the time, but they had this whole road, both sides filled with Corvettes at the end of the movie.
Really?
Yeah, and actually just this past winter they filmed a couple of brand new Hallmark Christmas movies here on.
Kind of an interesting walkway.
So this is a 92 Saab 900 turbo. These particular cars, the hood opens kind of like the old Corvettes.
Yeah.
So it's a lot easier if you got to replace either the engine or transmission to just pull them, because they come out in one unit.
Okay.
And then you have to unbolt it. So because of that, if you're replacing one, it's better to find a pair and then just drop the new pair in.
Throw a new engine in there while you're at it.
Exactly. So yeah, I have another 91 SBG turbo, black one with the louvers and whale tail, much nicer shape, that I'm in the middle of putting back together. This is kind of just a parts car
Cool.
at the moment, but
These are awesome.
they're fun to drive. This is my eighth Saab. But
Yeah, I think you got a problem, bro.
But yeah, many years ago, I adjusted the wastegate too far, and I was on Litchfield Turnpike at like a $110, $115, and blew the engine. I brought it back home, pulled it apart, and a quarter of the piston and the first cylinder was completely melted. So I learned my lesson there.
2 garages. Look at this.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
That's the newest Sabre that I got. Yeah. These were the fastest production motorcycles
At the
in
time.
the Guinness. Yeah, at the time. This magnet back here, that's actually the one I got from the New England Motorcycle Museum auction. And that one runs, it just needs a carb clean and, you know, all the usuals. Old Virago, that's a 500 Magna in the back that someone was trying to turn into a chopper. That's a parts bike. And then, yeah, a Yamaha 850 triple.
Okay.
With a supposedly blown motor, but
You think you could get another motorcycle in here?
trust me, I've tried.
And I wouldn't want to have to clean these carburetors.
It sucks going through that with one of the bikes on the other side. The first Sabre that I got is one over here in the back, but I pulled the carbs out of there, went to rebuild it, and I got it to fire up, but it was running really bad. And I tore it apart a second time and pulled every little nut jet apart, and found out that a bunch of the washers were missing. Some of the jets weren't right. Because it's V4, there's 4 carbs.
Yeah.
And so you have the idle screw that's usually supposed to be like 1.5, 2 out. One of them was like 1.5, one was 2. The third cylinder was 7.5 out. The more I tore into it, the more issues I found. I'm like,
Yeah, that's the problem with working on older bikes. You don't really know what somebody else decided to do to the bike until you start doing stuff, and then you realize, oh shit, somebody fucked this up.
And the guy I bought it from
there.
said, oh, I already cleaned them. All you gotta do is put it together.
This is in great condition, man.
Yeah, that's the newest addition to the stable.
Okay, so this is the 94?
Yeah, 94 R1100 RS.
Yeah, this thing looks like it'd be, except for the seating position where your feet are kind of back behind
your
you.
knees get
a little
cramped.
too much. Yeah. Okay, so this guy, I'm just obviously there's a lot of motorcycles in here, but okay, what's the story? You just got your first motorcycle when?
June of 2020, 3 years ago.
I think you got a problem, bro.
I
8 motorcycles later, right? You got 3, 4 over 5.
I think 9 at this point.
Wow.
Don't tell the wife.
Don't tell the
she
wife.
thinks I have 5 or 6. I love the old vintage bikes, and I love fixing them up.
You can keep a lot more of them than you can Saabs.
Right.
If these were all Saabs, you know, you'd have to get creative and like different levels and
Exactly.
yeah.
Back when I was 15, I started working on cars. My first car was a '84 Firebird that I bought for $400. Ended up selling a year later, right before I actually got my driving permit, for $200. It just needed a lot of work, but I started building computers when I was 10, so I've kind of bounced back and forth between auto mechanics and IT stuff. But I was working at a Saab Volvo dealership with the problems with my back and back surgery. It was just too much, and IT is a lot cleaner,
Yeah.
a lot easier on the body. And also working on cars are, you know, all day long, it takes the joy out of it when you're doing it for yourself as a hobby.
Absolutely. Boy, that Fitz was quite a character. I can just see him now, trying to squeeze yet another motorcycle into that garage. Yeah, that would work. In a pinch, that would work. I'm going to mark this on my map and come back to it if I can't find something better. Got a nice little beach here, just in time too, because I need a bath. This is a trout stream, actually, fly fishing only. Yeah, just absolutely gorgeous. The Appalachian Trail, I believe, goes that way. I just saw some people hiking. That's the other side where we just were, on the other side of the bridge. Yeah, Connecticut has just really turned out to be a totally amazing, beautiful state. Since the rally was still a week away, I decided to look for a spot in the Green Mountain National Forest of Vermont. There, the plan was to relax a bit and post a new video. man, this is one of the most miserable places I've stayed in a long time. Black flies, gnats, and mosquitoes are just all over the place. As soon as you step out of the tent, they're all over you. I strung the tarp up because they're calling for thunderstorms all day, supposedly, but right now the temperature is like 90 degrees. It's way too hot inside the tent. I got a little citronella candle, kind of helping a little bit, but even still, they're just on you right away. So if there wasn't so much of a chance of rain, I would go somewhere else, but I wanted to stay here and wait it out. But this is just absolutely miserable. There's the source of all my mosquitoes and flies, a couple 100 yards away from camp. So I'm going to pack up and move tomorrow. I just about got my next video completed. That's the case. Sometimes you just have to move, I'm getting the hell out of here. I got to do something. This is the second worst I've ever seen as far as mosquitoes and insects. The worst was Arkansas. Just to be sure I'd be far enough away from the mosquitoes, I headed 30 miles north. All right, this is one good damn fire. Finally got more or less dried out. I'm sitting here doing some work on the computer. I was able to get that tarp strung up first, and then of course get the tent set up. Went in there, crawled in my sleeping bag, and took a nap for about 40 minutes. Got some stuff drying out up here. Pretty much all my sleeping pads and stuff were completely soaked, so I put them up here on the line. Can't say enough good things about that tarp. Whatever the environment kind of throws at you, you can make some kind of a deal out of it. But no, there's a lot less mosquitoes out here, so that's a good thing. Even when I was completely drenched to the bone, I was not regretting at all the decision to leave the other spot today. But yeah, there's the Appalachian Trail running through there. So it's not necessarily the most private spot. And I've been hearing this creaking sound. Couldn't figure out what the hell it was. Started looking around and around, listening to the sound. And I noticed this dead tree. And this baby's right about to fall. Really nothing to stop it from completely crushing my tent. So I'm gonna have to move again. For the next several days, I continued my routine of gathering firewood, working on my laptop, and venturing into town when necessary. Finally got the New England weather I was hoping for, man. Probably about 40 degrees, gets down a little lower than that at night. I just can't take those 90-degree days anymore. I don't know if it has something to do with me jumping in cold water all the time, which really kind of increases your tolerance to cold, but it doesn't really do much for your tolerance to heat. So Laconia is about 3 hours over that way, getting slowly packed up. Gonna run into Manchester and send some maple syrup back home, and we'll see you on the road. The final chapter in this journey would take me through a series of back roads as I put down the last 100 or so miles to Laconia. They were all out of head cheese, but they had a bunch of this left. I guess nobody's really interested in this stuff. Kind of like a blood and tongue, sort of a terrine kind of a deal. I'm not really excited about this. Typically, I'm not a big fan of stuff made out of blood. It's got a really strong gamey flavor. Obviously, a very high iron content. Oh man, that is not for the faint of heart. And it's funny too, because a lot of people come up to me, they've seen my Vietnam stuff, and they're like, dude, you eat some really weird stuff. But for me, this is my kryptonite. I'm forcing it down. I know it's healthy, but it is just, I'm just not one of these people that really enjoys the taste of blood. If you've ever bitten your tongue and you get that metallic taste, it's like that times 1,000. A lot of cultures eat it, like the Maasai in Africa. I mean, they practically live on, I think it's a cow, a certain livestock animal that they'll sort of keep alive, and they'll just periodically bleed just enough that they can sort of feast on the blood and kind of keep them going and keep the animal alive. This is intense.